A few years ago, a student of mine called Daniel James Griffin, a quiet and thoughtful guitar player, approached me with his idea of creating compositions on his newly acquired 9-string guitar. And if Dan did have an idea for creating solo guitar compositions, it was most likely he lacked the ability or facility to execute the ideas he had in his head. This is the awful curse of creativity. But it is a strange thing how creative people reach into the future with every aspect of their being. We could call this positive grasping into the future intention. His college work required him to perform covers in a number of bands for an up-and-coming performance. So on my part, it wasn't difficult to assign Dan with the task of creating a 9-string guitar composition for the up-and-coming performance that was part of his course. This did mean pulling him off the tasks he was doing, but I felt if he did have some intention of creating something, it was the least I could do to support that. You see, there is nothing like a deadline to focus the twin beams of intention. 30 years ago, as a young man, I read A Criminal History of Mankind by Colin Wilson. This book left a lasting impression on me. After reading 600 pages of descriptions of various atrocities and abominations, Wilson in the final chapter attempts to show how the advancement of human society is inversely related to the development of crime, and shows how crime is the failure of the will and related in its characteristics to the freedoms created by modern society. He related this to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, showing that as a society provided for each need, crime provided a shortcut to the next need. Modern society now caters for so many of our needs that certain individuals attempt to self-actualize through murder and sadism. But in the final chapter, Colin Wilson introduced the metaphor of the dam busters to explain intention and how this relates to criminal activity. Wilson described how the dam busters faced a problem. For their bouncing bombs to hit the target, they need to fly at a specific height. Barnes-Wallis came up with a great solution. 2 lights would be placed at angles to each other on the underside of the bombers, whose beams would meet on the surface of the water plane at the exact height to release the bombs. Influenced by the philosophy of Herschel, Wilson used these beams as a metaphor for intention. Barnes-Wallis arrived at his idea through the use of 2 incredible human faculties: imagination and observation. These 2 faculties can be seen as the 2 beams of intention and are at the root of all art and science. And of course, art and science are the 2 greatest achievements of humanity and are responsible for the creation and advancement of human civilization. Anxiety, depression, and crime can be seen as the failure of these 2 faculties. A lack of imagination, the inability to see things as they actually are and imagine how they could be in the future and act accordingly. When Sir Isaac Newton discovered gravity, he did this through the process of observation and imagination. When Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel, he did the same. The greatest results of art and science are the points where the beams joined up. The failures of humanity are due to the inability to see things as they actually are and act accordingly based upon how we imagine things could be in the future. To see things as they are, we need to stop observing things entirely from our own point of view. From our point of view, we are at the centre of the universe and the Earth is flat. To get a better view, we need to imagine another viewpoint. When we do this, the beams meet, for this is the point where imagination and observation meet. Einstein makes his breakthrough when he imagines looking at the universe from the point of view of a beam of light. And humanity is always better when it sees the world from a point of view. It is so important that we understand that technology and morals come from science and art respectively. Wisdom can be seen as the respect of truth and the appreciation of beauty, or the respect of observation and the appreciation of the imagination. It is only through respect and appreciation of the twin beams of intention that humanity will navigate its way out of its current mess that it finds itself in. My student Dan did a good job of creating a little composition for our college performance. Since then he has developed his approach to a virtuoso level, and I would like to feature his latest composition now in this video. This video was filmed at the dams and reservoirs of the Eland Valley in North Wales. As a young boy, my mum and dad would take me out for days out at the Eland Valley. The first music that pricked up my ears was found on the album Jeff Love's Great War Movie Theme, and my favourite tune on that album was the Dam Busters March. Now, of course, the Dam Busters had practiced dropping their bouncing bombs at the Eland Valley, the dams there standing in for their targets in the Ruhr Valley. And so my trips to see the dams were heightened by the imaginary idea of Lancaster bombers flying across these great reservoirs. It is nice to know Dan also draws some sort of inspiration from this place too, and it gives me an assured faith in the wonders of creative intention, the ability for our intention to tie together such differing narratives as we have seen in this video. And so, to end here, this is Dan James Griffin performing his unique music at the Eland Valley. Keep your eye out for imaginary Lancaster bombers.